Here's the thing, I'm a bit of a hypocrite. Countless times on this YouTube channel, I mentioned that I'm not really into two-tone watches, or the fact that I'm into a modern Rolex Submariner more than I am into a 5-digit Rolex Submariner. Yet here I am making a video, a review of my 5-digit two-tone Rolex Submariner. So what happened? Why the hell did I buy this watch? We'll get into all of that. But first, as always, let's talk about the specs on the watch. It has a 40mm diameter, it's about 47.5mm from one lug to another, it has a 20mm lug width, and it's about 13mm thick. The case and the bracelet are both made out of stainless steel and 18 karat yellow gold. The crystal is sapphire, water resistance 300 meters. This one is powered by the caliber 3135 automatic Rolex movement, and it's priced anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000, depending on the condition, whether it has papers or not, etc, etc, etc. The watch that we're reviewing today, my watch here, it's not the higher number, it's closer to that $10,000 mark. This one was made in 1999. Now, I bought this watch about a year ago. Yes, this is a long-term review. I like doing these long-term reviews because I really got a chance to enjoy the watch for a long period of time. The honeymoon period is over, and now I can sort of objectively review the watch. On top of that, I'm gonna be honest, this was never one of my grail watches. A lot of times when you buy one of your grail watches, you spend a lot of money on a watch, you have rose-colored glasses. It's hard to see all the negatives with the watch. This one here was never really my grail. I never really lusted after this watch, so I think I can be sort of more impartial. Yes, I spent a lot of money on it, but I can still be a little more impartial and really point out all the negatives as I find them. When I first bought the watch almost a year ago, it was in a much better condition. There were almost no scratches, almost no signs of wear at all. The finishes looked really good. I guess that's one of the advantages of buying a pre-owned precious metal watch. People that buy these watches usually don't wear them as often. They don't really abuse these watches. They kind of keep them in a safe and wear them for special occasions. Now, I'm generalizing here. Most of the time I'm talking about here, not all the time, but most of the time people really take good care of their precious metal watches, like this one here. So it holds up in a pretty good condition. And if you look around, if you're in a market for a two-tone watch or even all gold watch, you can find some really nice mint examples of watches that were pretty much kept in their safes for the entire lifetime. Unfortunately, I'm not one of the people that likes to keep their watches in a safe forever and only wear them once in a while. I like to wear my watches. I really like to enjoy my watches. And of course, in the last year, I did put up quite a few different scratches on this timepiece. With all of that being said, I think the watch held up pretty well for over a year of wear. I wear this watch on regular basis. I wear it both as a casual watch and also as a dress watch. So I would wear this watch to a dinner with a button up and a tie or something like that. Or I would wear it with the jeans and a t-shirt and run my errands, go to Costco, go shopping, things like that, even go play fetch with Mr. Bond in the park. And I think overall it held up pretty well. Now, there are a few activities that I wouldn't do in this watch. So if it were just a regular stainless steel Submariner, I would probably go swimming with it and maybe do some sporting activities in this watch. Since it's a precious metal watch and also it's over 20 years old, I never took it swimming and I'm not really planning to take it swimming, not because of the precious metal, but because it's an older watch. I also wouldn't take this watch biking and activities like that where there is a high chance of the watch being scratched. For these type of sporting activities, I think most of us wouldn't take our Rolexes anyways. Let's say if you're going for a hardcore hike, there are better watches for that activity, watches that won't make your eyes tear up if you do in fact scratch them. Now, even though technically this is a sports watch, let's be honest, it's more of a luxury item than an everyday utility type of an item, especially this being a 5-digit sub. 5-digit subs are not as tough, in my opinion, at least, as the new modern subs. So you have to be a little bit more careful the way you wear this watch. And speaking of wearing this watch, I love how a 5-digit sub feels on the wrist. There's something really special about this fit. There's no wonder so many different companies try to homage this fit, try to copy this fit, because it just looks and feels so right. The proportions are amazing. There are no awkward angles. The weight distribution is great. And even though, yes, this is a slightly heavier watch than an all stainless steel one, the weight difference is not significant enough to even worry about. On my 7.5 inches wrist, the watch wears like it belongs there. I wear it, as I mentioned, for formal settings, so I would wear this watch with a suit, and even though it's 13 millimeters thick, it still slides under the cuff, no problem. I can wear it with a suit, I can wear it in formal settings, and I actually really enjoy wearing it that way. But also, as I mentioned, I wear it with jeans and t-shirt, and I wear it as a casual watch. So it's both casual and dressy watch for me. Now, I should also mention that this watch, this reference 16613, is also available with the blue bezel and the blue dial color combination. That one is known as bluesy, and even though it's a very attractive watch, it's not really my cup of tea. I think it's harder to wear with different outfits, and it would clash with some outfits. A two-tone watch, gold watch, already stands out quite a bit, so having it also with the blue dial and blue bezel would just stand out too much for my preference. This black dial, black bezel version, I think wears much better. It's easier to pull off, surprisingly easy to pull off. I thought that a two-tone watch would be kind of difficult to wear with some outfits. Maybe it would stand out too much. Nobody wants to be an asshole wearing a gold watch and saying, hey, look at me, look at my gold watch. Not really an issue here. I thought it would be, but it's not. Actually, yes, it stands out a little bit more than an average watch, but not too much. I got a few compliments on this watch, but nothing crazy. It doesn't attract as much attention as you would think. Now, that's a good thing in my book. Maybe some people are looking for that sort of thing, looking for the attention. In that case, probably not the best watch. Maybe an all gold one would really attract more attention. This one here is kind of flying under the radar most of the time. Now, as far as the gold elements go on the watch, it has a gold bezel, a gold crown, and gold center links with a little bit of gold on the clasp. So let's first talk about the bezel. This Submariner has that classic Submariner bezel action. Very satisfying, firm, confident, yet smooth clicks. I think quite a few different watch companies are trying to replicate this bezel action. They just can't. Rolex did something really right here. It's one of the best bezel actions on any watch I ever owned or reviewed so far. This here is, of course, the pre-ceramic version of the watch. The ceramic versions are more durable and they look more shiny, more luxurious, no questions about that. But I think these pre-ceramic watches just look a little bit warmer and more inviting, less sterile, if you will. The dials on these 5-digit subs are also a little bit more neat. Modern Submariners have what's called a maxi dial. The indexes are a little bit larger, and personally I actually do like the look of maxi dial, but for a different reason. It looks a little bit more modern, it looks more aggressive, it looks more sporty. The smaller indexes on these 5-digit subs make the watch feel a little bit more classic, a little bit more vintage, and a little more dressy, if you will. Both these and the maxi dials have gold indexes and 18 karat gold hands, which should prevent tarnishing. There is lume on this watch. After all, it's supposed to be a sports watch. Here's a lume shot for your reference. It's not too bad, your standard Submariner lume. I also quite like the gilt writing on this dial. It kind of camouflages itself depending on the light. It's not as stark of a contrast as white writing would be on a black dial. There is a date at the 3 o'clock position with the magnifying glass. Of course, a Rolex signature. Now, from my understanding, this reference of the watch, the precious metal, the two-tone version, only comes with a date complication. I don't think I've seen one without the date, but I could be wrong about that. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know if this watch comes with a no date. I think it's date only. Besides the date at the 3 o'clock position, we see the crown is housed within these crown guards. In this case, I'm really happy that the crown guards are there because this is a gold crown, which is a bit softer than a stainless steel crown would be. It's still a screw down crown that gives watch 300 meters of water resistance, and of course it's signed with the Rolex logo. Now, the Submariner design is classic. It's been replicated many times. It's sort of timeless. And this watch, if you were just to look at it on the wrist, it looks as modern as any other watch, even though it's over 20 years old. The only thing that really gives away the age of this watch is the bracelet and the clasp. It's got a standard Rolex Oyster bracelet with a center link made out of 18 karat gold. The end links are solid, but the center gold link is hollow, which makes the bracelet feel a little bit lighter than the modern Rolex bracelets. The bracelet also doesn't feel as luxurious as the modern two-tone Rolex Submariner does. That one just feels hefty, luxurious, solid. This one here feels a little bit more vintage, a little bit more old school. Functionally, it is also inferior as comparing to modern Rolex Submariners. It doesn't have the glide lock system, and the clasp itself is of a much lower quality. This watch has that old school pressed metal clasp with a diver's extension, which is nice to see. You press this button right here and it kind of pops up, so you can wear this watch over a wetsuit, although I don't know how many people actually did wear a two-tone Rolex Submariner over their wetsuits. You can probably count them on the fingers of one hand. This reference was available with two different types of clasps. We have a through clasp. In other words, the two-tone finish from the bracelet is carried through the clasp. These watches were also available with the all stainless steel clasp. Now, a word of warning, don't buy that one. It doesn't hold its value as well, and also it just doesn't look as good. So if you're in the market for one of these watches, I would strongly recommend you look for the one with the through clasp. At the beginning of this video, I said that I used to prefer, and probably still prefer, a modern Submariner to a vintage one. And one of the big reasons why is that bracelet and the clasp. The clasp and the bracelet on the new Submariner watches just really enhances that watch. It takes it from here and it makes it all the way up here. That's just how good these bracelets are. However, in a two-tone watch, the way I wear this watch, that is not as important. Yes, on my daily wear, I could benefit from a glide lock system, but it's not that important. If I were to buy a stainless steel version of this watch, then yes, the improvements and the quality of the bracelet would go a long way, because I would wear the stainless steel watch more casually, more for sporting activities. I would probably take it swimming and things like that. So having a ceramic bezel would be a big help because it's more durable. Having that better clasp, more solid bracelet would make a big difference. On a two-tone, as I wear it more of a dressier watch, it doesn't make as big of a difference. Now, this sort of thinking wasn't always there. I preferred newer Submariners to the older ones. The best way I can describe this is with the car metaphor. If you've been watching the YouTube channel for a while, you know I love my car metaphors. So let's compare a Porsche 993 911 to a modern 992 911. Which one is better? Well, I guess the answer to that question would depend on two things. Number one is, what are you looking for in a Porsche? And number two, your personal preference. So if you were to use the car for a track use, then of course the modern 992 is better. It has better technology, it's more powerful, it's faster, it's better around the corners. There's just no comparison. It is clearly the better car for track use. However, if you're looking for a more enjoyable driving experience, a car that you can take out on the weekends, a car that you can drive to a nice dinner, maybe the 993, the older 911, is the better choice. To me, at least, it is. Now, this wasn't always the case. Until not that long ago, I always preferred modern 911. Buy modern or buy nothing. As time went on, my tastes kind of changed, and now I actually prefer the vintage air-cooled 993 models to the more modern ones. This wasn't always the case, but it is now. And it's sort of similar situation with watches. If you were to ask me probably 5 years ago if I would prefer a two-tone or a stainless steel Submariner, I wouldn't even consider a two-tone. I just didn't really like them. Nothing about them appealed to me. But nowadays, I love me a good two-tone Rolex Submariner. Like, for example, I prefer the two-tone Daytona over a stainless steel Daytona. I think I'm one of the few people that does that, but it's just something about two-tone that really appeals to me. Also, in a two-tone, I prefer vintage versus new. The new feels more sterile, it feels more like a product, where this kind of feels like it has a little bit more soul. Before buying this Submariner, I did try on a modern two-tone Submariner, and it just didn't feel right. The proportions felt a little bit wrong, it just didn't feel like me. But when I put this watch on, there's something special, it makes me feel so much better. I don't know what it is about this watch, but it really makes me feel good when I wear it. Now, before I sign off, I want to tell you that this watch, of course, is not perfect. I know that. And one of the big negatives of this watch is the fact that it is more soft. It's a watch that you can't really abuse. As I mentioned before, you have to be more careful with it because the bezel is easier to scratch, the gold is easier to scratch, and scratched up gold doesn't look very good. So you do have to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more conscious when you wear this watch. If you're okay with that, and if you're okay with the vintage feeling bracelet, I think you will really enjoy this timepiece. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what are your thoughts on the two-tone Rolex Submariner. Would you prefer the 5-digit or do you prefer modern ones? I always enjoy reading your comments. I appreciate you watching this video until the end. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, give this video a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.